You and I had very different dating experiences before we met each other.
Yes. Completely opposite. Someone was a womanizer.
Oh, hold up. That's how you're going to start this show? I was not a womanizer.
What do you... Well,
I would
you had
s-
a lot of ladies
I would
chasing after you.
I would say that I was just putting myself out there a bit more than maybe you were, but a womanizer. Wow, that's really what you thought of me?
No.
Then why'd you date me?
I don't know. There's something about you that was different.
It was that swagger. I walked in
You-
with a leather jacket.
You had a good day that day, and it had nothing to do with me.
I did have a very good day that day.
Yes, we had very different, I think, outlooks on dating
Uh-huh.
and very different dating experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I don't think you thought seriously about dating until you met me.
I think it would even be about a few months into after we met. I will.
Which I could sense, but I mean,
Yes.
how would you define your dating? You like convenient friendships?
That's well. I guess I would start by saying this way. I don't think I feel like with you, what made it different, and this is I think important. I think it's the reason that our relationship worked and it lasted. Is it really felt like we were dating and dating each other in a very intentional way, and I think that that's thanks to you really shaping your availability that way. Of like, if you want to get to know me, you're gonna have to meet my family and do this and do that. And it was,
I think
you were very
too-
intentional about how you allowed me to date you, I would say.
Well, I think it was different too because the way we met is us modern times was on a dating app,
Which
So
is
I
where most people meet each other these days.
which is but I think because you're not all the dating apps, but I think when you weed out the people, you're saying I'm looking for a partner. Like I want to date with intention. That was my outlook on dating.
That was your mindset, though. I wouldn't say that's the majority.
I wouldn't say
even
that's
of
the
most people on a
majority,
dating app.
but that's what you're looking for and what you're hoping for. I think if you're on a paid dating app, then like you're definitely dating with intention. Like I'm serious about
We got money
finding-
invested in this.
Yes,
now.
I have a financial investment. I had some friends who did like one of those Christian dating sites, and that was like, I am serious about finding a husband or a wife.
That almost seems too serious.
It was a bit too serious, so I was like, I'm gonna dabble in this. I'm gonna dabble.
So we met on a dating app.
We met on a dating app,
Which I got on as a joke, but and also not as a joke, because I was in a point in my life where I had
a previous relationship.
previous relationship. I was going to say that I've been through the gauntlet of women, as Caitlin often refers to it. But I had a
You
previous
dated a lot.
relationship where I was like, "Is this it? Like, is this as good as it's going to get? Like, is this as close in alignment of my values and who I am and like what I am hoping to kind of have in a life partner is going to happen? Is this the kind of person I grow with?" And something in my gut just said like,
Maybe
maybe not.
And I think if you're asking that question, then they're not the right person for you. Because
Correct.
I rewind. Like I was very prayerful about dating. I very much asked the Lord to spare my heart of heartbreak as much as possible, whatever that meant. And it meant I had to wait a while.
It meant that she never dated.
But I didn't really date.
You went on dates.
I went on dates.
But you didn't have any relationships.
I didn't
should
have any.
rephrase that.
I never had a long-term relationship until we met. That's not a long-term relationship.
What did that last? A couple months?
Just like 2 or 3 months. Like it's not a long-term
decent.
relationship. But
All
it was like but I knew in my gut that something was wrong in that relationship.
Even 2 or 3 months in.
Yeah. And then I would say because of that relationship, any other date I went on from then on, I knew in my gut something wasn't right.
So Caitlin from the beginning was very good about if she was going to dating with intention. And where did that come from? Was that from church or from parents or a combination of
I think
all of it?
all of it. I think.
Did all your siblings kind of try dating the same way?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, you'd have to ask them. But I
fair
mean,
enough.
they're 4 out of 5 are married.
It's true.
So, I remember my sister went through a really hard breakup in like high school, college, and she was just really heartbroken. And I knew I didn't want that for my life. I didn't want to be heartbroken. And like I was really sad that she had to go through that, and like her and I are really close. So I just was like, I don't want that. So how do I avoid that? And I mean, I did read a lot of books on marriage and like was part of youth groups and young things, and they always talk about relationships, and I do disagree on some of the things that I had heard. Like I had heard
Like
that
what?
two Christians, no matter what the situation, can make a marriage work. And while I do agree, because you believe that marriage is a covenant and you're going to work through the hard things, I just don't think that's like the magic makeup of a relationship. I think
Mm.
there is more to it. Like you have to have good communication styles. Like they have to have strengths that maybe you don't have. Like I do think there's way more to finding a partner than just
Compatibility is not just a religion preference checkbox that we both that's both
yeah,
what we
because
identify as and
and
moving
I
on.
mean like I would say like you can have different theology. Like you can still be a Christian and have different theologies,
Right.
and that's gonna cause discourse in your life.
Or even different ideas of how you're going to raise kids or like
There's so much to it. So
right.
I mean, yes, I think I had always wanted to date with purpose, and I wanted to get married, and I wanted to have kids, and I wanted to save myself for marriage. So
So much so that on date 1, you go, "What do you want to do with your life?" And
I
she's
was like,
like,
I want to be married and I want to have kids and I want to stay home with my babies. And he was like, whoa. And I was like, whatever. Like, I think when you're on a dating app and you're meeting a stranger, there is some sort of like freedom just to say what you want and what, because you're like, whatever. If this doesn't work out, I'm never going to see them
because it's not
again.
like someone at work where you have to like encounter in the
Or like,
hallway
you know, I
again.
went on
Or
dates with like friends from youth group or like my small group or whatever. And it's like, I really like you as a friend. I'm so sorry. Like, I wish there was more, but like, there's just not. And there's something to that. And I knew when I met you, there was something different about you. Like, I was,
well, I mean,
come on. he's, a, he's a catch. But you walked in with such confidence. And you know what? It was so nice because I felt like for the first time, it was like, oh, he's attracted to me and I'm attracted to him. And I felt like there was a lot of times like guys would be attracted to me, but I was like, oh, I like them as a person, but I just don't
did
feel
you
like
go on a
this.
lot of pity dates where you just kind of took the free dinner? I was like, "Well, I'll see if there's something there," but at the end of the day, you're like,
I
"Nah."
wouldn't say it was a pity date, but like it was kind of like, I don't think there's anything here, but like I should try.
Plus free meal, and you love food.
I do love food, but not enough to no, because there's a lot of dates I went on where I'd be like, you know what? I'd rather be home. Like I had really great girlfriends that I enjoyed spending time with. I was like, I'd rather be sitting on the couch, like eating pizza and watching my British TV shows with them
Hmm.
than being on this date right now. And I really want this to end. And how do I get out of it? And please, can I go home soon? But no, I think every date though led to like what we have too.
Mhm.
So, I mean, like, do you think dating all these women, all the women, the full gauntlet of women led to us meeting and knowing like that this
Yeah.
is right versus
Yeah, I think there's definitely
what was your approach, I guess, too?
well, my approach was I just let whatever happen happen. kinda
They came
I
after you
kinda just sat
situation
back and watched it all take
unfold.
place. Yeah, I would say that I never really throughout my entire life, there's maybe 1 or 2 girls that I would say I pursued. But most women that I dated, and I've only dated women, it's just the way I phrased that felt like I had to define that, was they definitely
Flirted their way.
flirted their way to getting me to ask them out. Where I wouldn't say like they were all attractive and funny or quirky or whatever they were in their own regard, but they're like I wasn't necessarily a person who was looking to date someone. I would feel
It
like
was like
people,
convenient.
yeah, it was more convenient, and they'd be like flirt with me a lot. I'm like, oh, they're cute, and then it'd be like, well, okay, do you want to like go out to dinner? And then I would find myself in this constant sort of pattern of them sort of forcing me into a relationship with them when I don't think I really was ready for it. But I was like, whatever. If you want to put a relationship label on it,
Oh,
slap it on, and I don't care.
you were so weird about that. When we were dating, we dated for like a while, and I was always like, am I his girlfriend? He's never called
I
me
didn't
his
do the label thing.
girlfriend. boyfriend. Like, I don't know when you started doing that.
I was just like, this is Kaylin.
And then when we got engaged, he still called me his girlfriend. And he's like, whatever. Like, you're going to be my wife soon. I'm not going to like use a fiance in the
Yeah.
meantime.
Well, I don't think I've ever really been into labels. Like I always
No.
used to, I think one of my biggest pet peeve when dating is that you get that conversation like,
So define
are
the
we-
relationship.
are we girlfriend and boyfriend now? And I'm like, I don't know.
I
And they'd be like, well, we're going on dates and we've been dating for like, 2 months. I'm like, right. I go, we're dating. They go, so are we in a relationship? I go,
Guess
yeah,
so.
sure. Do you want to check whatever box you want on Facebook. I don't care. Like, in my opinion, we're dating. We're going on dates.
I
I'm getting
remember
to know
I
you.
remember though we were dating for a while and there was like a point where it was like I remember it so clearly. We were sitting at my dining table at my house and you were like, so what are we doing here?
Well, that is very
'Cause-
different.
'cause
Hold on. Time out. Because Kaylin had
Walls.
some immense walls around her.
I did.
And we were dating for a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
At least a couple of months.
And it was like, I mean, we got
and
to
by
know each
this
other.
point, with most girls, I already knew the playbook. Like I knew what makes them tick, what makes them angry, what makes them happy. This. Not that I'm not saying like I'm a manipulator by any means. I
But
wasn't.
you're
But
very
like
good
I'm
at
very good at understanding
understanding people.
humans and people and understanding what makes them tick and why they are the way they are and probably all their childhood trauma that goes along with it. And so it was 2 months into Kaylin and I didn't really
you couldn't figure me out.
know her because she wasn't opening up to me.
But I felt like you weren't opening up to me, so then I didn't feel like I could
And
open
I
up.
probably wasn't because honestly, I think I was so used to these girls just being so vulnerable with me. And I'm not
so
saying
desperate.
I don't want to talk bad about any of them. Like I don't know what any of them are going through, but like they were all very vulnerable and honest with me to a point sometimes where I'm like, wow, this is a lot of information to take in all at once. And I think it's also because in most of my circles of friends, I was kind of considered the good listener and the person you went to with all your troubles, and so I naturally kind of fit that motif in a lot of these girls' minds as far as like who I was in this relationship. So I think just in general, my dating history, I would gotten to know someone in a very vulnerable way by that point, and with you, it was just stoic.
Well, you weren't giving me anything either. You were like really weird. Well, you had a weird job at the time, and so he was like we would never go out locally because he didn't want anyone to recognize him because
I was kind of a minor celebrity.
he
back
was a
in the
minor
day.
celebrity. I don't know if we want to dive into it.
No, we
but,
don't have to.
Okay. And so he like didn't want people to know he was dating. It felt like you were hiding me. And so it was like we would only go to my house. When we went to your side of town, you were like always like, and you would always take me to Los Angeles because you didn't want to go on dates in the area.
There's a
and
couple
I
of
think
things
with your
here.
role too, you weren't really supposed to be like going to bars or drinking or anything. And not that we were going crazy, but it was like if you wanted to enjoy a cocktail.
There was this expectation in the job I had that I was kind of a public figure and I had to hold myself as that way. So it never really felt like my life was necessarily private. Now, I will say, to my defense, whenever we did hang out in my local area, people would always recognize me.
It was weird.
And so it was...
And then he would be like, he'd let go of my hand and
like, sorry, I got to work for a bit here. And so it was one of those things where it never quite felt like I could have a personal life at the moment because it always felt like I would go out locally and people would recognize me. And then it felt like I was working. And the other reason I would take you to LA all the time is because I had just moved down
from
LA to Orange County. And I knew nothing about Orange County.
You would always be like, well, you're from here, so you can plan the date.
I don't know what to do. She's like, well,
where do we hike? I don't know.
I'm like, I could take you up to Griffith Park.
You didn't even know, like, on our we had like a first date, where you meet. And he was like, we can go here, we can go here. And I didn't like hear from you all that day. I was like, where are we going?
I was very busy at work.
And then we met and I was like, okay. And then I got in your car. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, you're going on a whole bunch of tangents right now.
I'm sorry, rabbit trail.
So, yes, but I will say, just to my defense, real quick, if I may defend my name and my honor, when I would plan these great dates in LA.
Those were great dates.
Because I knew LA.
And I think
I lived there for 10 years.
I think with dating too, I really enjoyed those fun dates, and I think you got to like really get to know each other and have fun along the way. And
dating is important.
I kind of miss it. Do you miss it?
We still date. I mean, it's more complicated now with a kid. But I think it's really important that you continue to intentionally try to date your spouse. Not that you'll succeed at it, because
Yeah,
we fail at it all the time. But it is nice when we get a moment away.
it is
Then
nice.
again, most of the time we get a moment away these days, we're doing this podcast. So this is now our dating.
This is us dating.
But I think to your earlier point that started this whole tangent,
Yeah.
do the people you've dated throughout your life define who your eventual partner is going to be? And I would say the answer is definitively yes. Because I would say, while I have been dating, I had a longer dating history than you, I did pick up on each of those relationships.
What
I like
worked?
that. I don't like that. That doesn't work. That works. And for me, it was a big journey to go from, I was dating a lot of people in the circles I was running with. They were the exact opposite of my political affiliations. And I finally dated someone who was a little more in line politically with. I'm like, oh, this is really refreshing. But they weren't really in line with me religiously. And then I found someone who was more in line with me religiously and a little bit more politically. I'm like, oh, this is
But
even
not
better.
but not
But
as
not
much.
quite there, And
Yeah.
so I do think that there was something about having those experiences of like, oh, that actually makes relationship easier. And when you're not at odds about this makes it easier. And so I eventually arrived at the conclusion of like, I need to date someone who has my political leanings, who is very much in line with what I'm seeking religiously, being a Christian. And in fact, I recognize I need someone who's a stronger Christian than me to be dating, at least at the moment. And cause I felt like I wasn't a new Christian, but I'd say I was kind of more of a baby Christian in the fact that I don't think I was very strong in my beliefs. And so I kind of wanted to date someone who was much stronger, more grounded in what they believed, because I felt like that was going to help me ground my religion. Now, I shouldn't have put that upon anyone in a relationship, and that was a wrong take, but it did help me lead me to you, which made me recognize I need someone who is strong in their faith and not wishy-washy. And like, I'm also wishy-washy. Like, I wanted someone who was a
And now
little bit
you are
more
like,
rock solid
yes.
on faith, and I
And
think
I feel like you're a spiritual leader in our family. And I don't know if that was like the case when we were first dating, which is why I was like hesitant dating you. I think in the beginning was like,
right.
okay, I really like this person. We get along. Communication is easy. We align on this. We align on that. He says he's a Christian. We agree about a lot of things biblically, but at the time your job didn't allow you to go to church regularly, so that was kind of
Mhm.
a yellow flag for me. um but you had a desire to grow. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people at the time when I was first dating you were like, what are you doing?
This guy's bad news.
This guy's not, he should be like, well, and your job was really busy, so it was like we'd have a date and then like 2 weeks later you're like, okay, now I can see you.
Yeah.
So it was just complicated, but it, in my gut and my heart, I think I knew something was different. I would never say love at first sight is something I believe in, but I do think you should trust your gut when dating someone, because I think like, this is right, this isn't right. I don't know, maybe I'm intuitive.
Maybe. I mean, I think what is it that made you feel like it was right, and then what made you in previous cases, or maybe even in my case almost, run for the hills?
Run for the run for the hills. I don't know. I mean, I think there was definitely like a, like, okay, I like them as a person, as a friend. Can I see myself, like, do I find them attractive? I think that was like a big one.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it was like, not really, like, they're,
Quite the eye twitch there.
I mean, like, it's not like they were unattractive. It was just like, I just don't
Not your
find
type.
them attractive to me.
Right.
And I mean, and it was like, personality wise, are like, oh, this person just talks a lot and I don't like that. Like, I like quiet and I like feeling. I remember dating someone and there would be silence and it would be uncomfortable. And then I
Mm.
remember hanging out with you in the silence, it felt comfortable. And I was like, oh, that's different.
Mm.
I don't know. There was just like little things,
Those little moments
little
that you pick
moments.
up on. One thing
And
is being observant, and you should observe those moments that are working in any relationship and those that are not,
yeah.
because that helps you define again when you finally find something that feels like the one.
The one. And I felt like when we met, like, I was really engaged in the conversation we were having. And sometimes when I'd go on dates with people where I didn't feel the vibe, I would be thinking about so many other things in my head
Mm.
while like listening to them. Whereas with you, I was like really engaged.
Instead of making your grocery list.
Yes.
You're so engaged, in fact, that first date that you got into my car, which was kind of crazy.
Well, yes.
I could have been a terrible. I could have been a
You
like an
could have.
axe
I
murderer or
don't know
something.
what I was thinking. And my roommate at the time, her dad was a cop, and he was like, "What did you do?" But we went on a date, and it was like Friday night, so it was like coffee or drinks, and I was like, "Let's do drinks. It's Friday night." Like, cool. So we had like 2 drinks. It had been 2 hours, and he's like, "Well, where can we go from here?" And there was like a coffee shop, but it was too far to walk. But it was like a half a mile down the road or a mile down the road or
Hmm.
something. And he's like, "Well, like I can just drive us." And I was like,
Got
"Okay."
into my very sexy Kia
Kia
Soul.
Soul with the little hamster on the like
Oh yeah.
shift gear thingy. And we went and had coffee, and you wanted the date to keep on going. You were like,
I think that was the first sign for me. I think most of the time I like my alone time. And it was very surprising to me that I was so interested in continuing this conversation. And in fact, when I drove home that night, that was my thing I was thinking about. I go, why didn't I want to leave? Because most of the time,
you
two
wanted to
drinks,
leave.
I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to go
Yeah.
home.
That's how I felt
And
before too. I
and
was
I
like,
really enjoyed the conversation.
yeah.
And I did not go into our date with any expectation of, well, maybe this will be a long-term relationship. I went into the date being like, I'm just going to make sure there's nothing else out there because I'm pretty sure I'm going to go back and get with my ex and propose to her. That was kind of the mindset I was in, and you knew that.
Well, not until like later down the road.
Right. Well,
But
yes.
now I know that.
Now you know that.
And I'm like,
well,
well,
because I thought like that's as good as it's going to get.
and that's like so sad for you and for her if that was like your story, because
Yeah.
like she deserves better than that, and you
She
deserve
does.
better than that.
It wasn't meant to be.
So
But I was so shocked that I was so
wanting to, because it was like 12:30, and I was like, I'm gonna go home.
yeah.
But I would love to like continue this another day,
And we did.
and we did, and yeah,
I think there's just a lot of benefits in not only dating with intention, which Kaylin did very well, and I did very poorly until I met her and she kind of forced me into dating with intention. But also just taking no. When you go on a date with someone, I think you should really catalog what did you like, what did you not like, and pay actual attention as opposed to be like, I don't know, just wasn't a good date, didn't feel it, the vibe wasn't right. Like when you really start to analyze your dating habits or the people you're dating and what's not working and what is working, I think it helps identify for you a path to find that forever someone.
did you think, like in our dating relationship, did you think it just came easy and naturally versus previous relationships since you've had those?
It's a good question. I think it came very easy and naturally. Whereas I would say I've had some relationship in the past where it felt like work, and I would identify. I knew a lot of the work moments were because of differences in values or politics, things like that. So which is why I knew I kind of want someone who's more in line with me, knowing that would help make things easier.
Because marriage is hard, as we now know.
It is hard, and
It's great, but it's hard.
you need to be so good, like at dating, and so good with your spouse at where you're at before you get married, because marriage throws a whole new set of obstacles your way.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to be so good as a couple before getting engaged, in my opinion,
I
and
agree.
before getting married, so that when you are prepared for what marriage is going to throw you, it's going to throw a whole new set of
Trials and
trials
tribulations.
to you, and
Yeah.
you need to be so lock solid as a couple. And I would say, like, I thought we were pretty solid as a couple before we got married, but even at that, there have been moments where our foundation has shook a little bit with the things we've had to go through.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, with our relationship, it was a slow burn, I would say. Like,
Yes.
I knew I was attracted to you from the beginning, but like we took our time to get to know each
It's
other.
like peeling an onion.
We really took our time to get to know each other, and I think we built a friendship but it was like a friendship with, like, I really like you. Like,
But I think that's also really important that there's a friendship there.
yeah.
Because you had to think about it.
It was like a friendship, but you also like to make out. So
One of the things that I thought about when dating, and I don't know if you ever thought about this intentionally, was that, love changes over time and
It
your
does.
relationship changes over time. And so making sure that, yes, you're romantically into this person, but also that there's a friendship there and that's going to go on
beyond
forever,
Yeah.
beyond the romantic involvement. Because if you don't have that, if you don't enjoy the same things, or if you don't
And we like to,
appreciate
Yeah,
the other person's interests, there's going to be issues down the line because you can't hang everything on romance.
no.
That's too much to put on that the romance hook, if you will.
Because
It's
the
gonna fall off
romance
the
kind of
wall.
goes away. I mean, like, there's sometimes, especially when
It
you,
ebbs and flows.
I mean, I love him. He's wonderful. But at the same time, there's times, especially like when you have a kid or like when life gets busy, where it does feel like you're roommates for a minute. I mean, and like that goes away too. And then you feel like you're like husband and wife and all that. But yeah, it's really important to have that friendship, that foundation. I mean, we took our time. Like, we didn't say I love you until almost a year in.
Mm-hmm.
And then life did get hard. We had
Yeah, we had
we
some
had a
trials.
pandemic. We had some health issues that we
Had
dealt
this little
with.
thing called 2020 that happened.
I mean, you had like a couple cancer scare moments. Like, you
yes.
had some physical stuff that you were dealing with. Like, we went to the ER together. Like, we went through the ringer before we got married.
Which was kind of nice to do.
And I mean, I'm thankful that the Lord put us through those things, because I think it prepared us for marriage and for our vows to say, yeah, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health. And like, that's what you want when you're dating. You want someone who's going to be your best friend and go through all those things with you and know that you can depend on them.
Stand by your side.
Yeah.
So that's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
That's how you date with intention. Not my story, Kaylin's story.
Well, I mean, but I think all paths lead us there, right? Like, I remember praying for you in junior high, like, please, Lord, like, bring me the man that you want for me. And like, I'll wait for as long as I need to, like, whatever path he needs to get to find his way to me, that it will work. And if that means he has to date a lot and get like, I mean, you learned a lot from your other relationships. And so it's like, you can't have regrets about it.
No.
You know?
You need to accept your partner for who they are.
Yeah,
when you meet them.
I don't think I hold your past relationships against you.
No.
I mean,
you don't like it when I say, oh yeah, one time I was with this friend.
Because I'm like, you were with a girlfriend. Like, I know. Which girlfriend was it? And it's like, I don't know these people, so it's fine. Like, if you were still friends with them, I feel like that would be weird.
Nah.
But I mean, it's like, okay.
We did have one ex come to our wedding.
Did we?
Oh, well, time for another episode. But I think this is all really good, and I hope it's helpful for those who are out there and trying to find the one or dating. And I guess the only thing I would close with is just, I think Kaylin did a really great job dating with intention. And I just want to compliment her with that, because it's not something that I did very well. And no matter where you're on your journey, you can always turn it around. And I think it was a few months into dating Kaylin where I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I probably should start looking at this as a long-term thing and not just say, hey, you hanging out and dating a girl thing.
And then I really felt pursued. And I think that changed
the dynamic.
Absolutely. Because it was like, oh, I am being pursued and treasured. And that is so important. And people around me saw that, because they were like, you deserve the best. And it's like, we finally became the best. Yeah. So I think it is important to date with intention. And I think it's important to, as a woman, be pursued, and as a man, pursue someone.
I'm going to call this episode The Journey to Me Being the Best.
Okay.
So, all right. You got anything else?
No, I think that's it.
It's a good talk. It's a good conversation. I enjoyed this. It's like a little fireside chat about dating.
Oh, I wish we had a fireplace.
Oh, well, we live in Arizona, so it'll kind of be miserable most of the year. If you like the show, you can subscribe, click the bell. You can follow us on social.
Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
TikTok?
You got it.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
I'm Justin.
Kaylin.
Catch you later.
Bye.